everyone, I'm Stephanie Weaver here in our Blue and Yellow Kitchen in San Diego, California under stay-at-home orders with everyone else. And I'm the author of the Migraine Relief Plan. Today I'm going to be making a frittata with sweet potatoes and kale. This one is migraine friendly and it's also real adaptable, and I mainly just wanted to show you guys how to make a frittata. So this recipe is based off one in Vegetarian Times that was recommended to me by my friend Amy, as well as the Satellite Sisters Liz Dolan, who made it in her Cooking with Liz series. So what I've got is some diced sweet potato that had been in the freezer, and I do have a video where I show you how I prep and store vegetables, and I've cooked those for about 4 to 5 minutes in the microwave, and then I'm just going to drain them real well and make sure that they're nice and dry when they go in the pan. I've also got some thinly sliced kale, also straight from the freezer, some a little bit of cotija cheese you could use for my migraine people. You could use a fresh queso, sorry, and also goat cheese would be fine. Any kind of feta crumbles would be great. I think that's what the Vegetarian Times recipe calls for. A little bit of mustard, you can omit this, my migraine folks, and then eggs, some kind of milk, and then some sort of aromatic, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So I'm going to put so what you need for this, you're going to need some kind of a non-stick pan. I'm going to show you that in a second, and then some sort of implement that will allow you to not scratch the non-stick pan, and then either a fork or a whisk and a bowl. So it's pretty low key, but this this pan needs to be able to go into the oven. So it can't have a plastic handle. So the ideal is something like a frittata pan. You don't exist, but you don't need one. Just a big, nice big nonstick skillet with a metal handle will work. Also cast iron will work, but you need to make sure it's super well seasoned, otherwise your frittata is going to stick. And I've also, the other thing you need to know is you need to have, if you have a broiler, you need to have your rack positioned under the broiler, depending on where your broiler is, and have that ready to be turned on, or set your oven to 375 or 190°C so that you can bake this. So the idea is you're essentially, it's a scrambled egg dish, except you're not scrambling the eggs, or you're not pushing them around in the pan. You're letting it set on the bottom, and then you're putting it into the oven to finish the top. And that's where the cheese gets melty. I prefer it under the broiler, but baking it is fine, and the Vegetarian Times recipe that I'm going to share the link for will actually have you baking it. So I'm going to put, they also recommend spraying your pan with cooking spray. I don't do that because the propellants can be problematic for non-stick surfaces. So just a nice, that was actually a very generous pour of olive oil, but never too much olive oil is my motto. We're going to throw our kale in there. Now I'm just making this for 2 people. That would be Microwave Boy and myself. Hi, Microwave Boy.
Morning,
He's on the camera over there. And what I'm going to do is just drain these sweet potatoes. I'm just going to give them a little quick dry so that when they go in the pan, they're not super wet. The other thing you want to add is some kind of aromatic. So that, what I mean by that is the garlic or shallot. You could do fresh garlic if you have it. You could do dried garlic powder, granulated garlic. This Penzeys roasted garlic powder is fantastic. So a little shake of that. And also they also have wonderful air-dried shallots, and those are nice in this kind of recipe because they're going to have time to rehydrate in the pan. So, and then we're just going to do our eggs up here. Oh, let's get our sweet potatoes in. So let me show you what your options are for managing this. So silicone spatula, any kind, plastic spoon, vinyl spoon, wooden spoon, even metal, or I'm sorry, wooden bamboo tongs. Any of those things will not scratch your pan, and that's what you're looking for. So I am going to do actually I'll just use one. So I'm going to just use the spatula and set this down. I just wanted to show you, you just don't ever want to use metal in a non-stick pan. So I'm going to use that and set these aside. I'm going to throw my sweet potatoes in. which are basically fully cooked. So they went 5 minutes in the microwave in water, because you don't want to be cooking them, you're just basically sort of finishing them. But you want to just give this a couple of minutes to get some nice flavor, some nice browning. I'm really smelling that the aromatics from that shallot is coming out with the oil, and you can see it's going to start getting hot. You can see that I'm getting some really nice color on that kale. That's what I'm looking for. You don't want to start with raw kale. You want it. Kale is actually the ingredients, so the nutrients in kale, far more bioavailable, meaning we can really use them well when it's cooked with some kind of oil. So that's why you really always want to cook kale or treat it in some way. If you've had kale and you don't like it, it's probably because it was prepared poorly with not enough fat, good healthy fat. So 2 people, 4 eggs, so 2 eggs per person. Normally I would use a deeper bowl, but none of my deep bowls are glass see-through, and I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so my 4 eggs, that's cooking. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of mustard in here. The mustard's getting a little bit old, so I had to add a little bit of water to it, so that's why it's so thin. And then maybe some, I don't use a lot of salt, but I might just do a touch of salt, and then a nice generous pepper. So these are local eggs, and then you can see I have my industrial size almond milk. So we bought this from a local restaurant that has pivoted to selling groceries to try to stay open, so we like to support them. So that means I ended up with a very large container of almond milk. That's awesome. I just try to not have a lot of dairy. I just do better without it, so I use non-dairy milk. Very small amounts of cheese if I'm using cheese. So you could use a whisk if you have one, but I'm assuming people don't have necessarily a lot of these tools, so I'm just showing you what you can do literally just with a fork. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my broiler on. Since mine has 2 settings, I'm going to go with low just so it doesn't really blast the top of this. I'm going to push all this stuff around. You can see we've got some nice browning on the little dried shallots, so they're probably pretty crispy. The kale is a beautiful dark green. You can see we've got, I don't know if you can see it, but we do have some browning on those pre-cooked sweet potatoes. And I'm just going to be pouring this egg mixture right over the top. So again, it was 4 eggs, salt and pepper, a little bit of Dijon mustard, and a little bit of my non-dairy milk. And essentially you just want to pour it in and not touch any of it. Once you get that in, I'm going to use, that's why I chose this, so I can just get all those eggs out of there, because I want every bit of egg I have. Okay, so about 3 or so minutes, we're going to let this sit on the stove. What we're looking for is for the bottom to be completely set, the edges to be starting to be cooked, and then we're just going to finish it under the broiler. So what I did is I pre-crumbled this cheese, and
what kind of cheese is that?
so it's cotija cheese, which is a aged Mexican cheese. I think cotija means old, which would make sense. But queso fresco would be a really nice Mexican crumbly cheese that's fresh enough to be okay for migraine people. The reason we don't do aged cheeses is because they can be migraine triggers for some of us, not everybody, and food triggers are still considered or are considered somewhat. Not everyone agrees that there are such a thing as food triggers. I know personally I do have a couple things that I cannot eat without getting a headache, so I avoid those things. And that's the whole idea with my plan, is to help people, give them a structure to figure out what might be lifestyle issues. So we're looking at things like regular sleep, regular gentle exercise, some kind of relaxation practice, making sure you're eating regularly throughout the day, making sure you're hydrated throughout the day, and then eating anti-inflammatory, really high quality nutrition, but also to try to determine if you suspect you have food triggers. My plan helps you figure out what those are. So then you can avoid those and you can eat all the other delicious, yummy food that you want to have in your life. Okay, so what are we looking for here? So I'm gonna just pick this up. The handle's still not hot, so that's why I'm able to pick it up. So I've still got runniness on the top, which is okay. What I like to do at this point is just kind of do this, so I'm making sure that it's covering all the vegetables. But I want this to be more set before I put it in the under the broiler. So I'm gonna wait another probably 2 minutes. And what else can I tell you while we're doing that? So the Satellite Sisters are a podcast that I've been listening to for a few years, and they're super fun. There are these 3 sisters that are currently doing it, real life sisters, Liz, Leanne, and Julie. And Liz is, Leanne and Julie are very much accomplished cooks, but Liz has described herself as a disinterested cook. She's capable of doing it, she's just not interested in it. And so she kind of has started this hilarious series where she's given a challenge by her 2 other sisters, and then she does like a 3-part video, live video, where she talks about sourcing the ingredients, and then her mise en place, and then she does her kind of final reveal. And so this was a recipe that was recommended by another listener, Amy, who's now a friend of mine, and who was my Secret Santa actually this year. And and this just sounded delicious. So when I watched Liz make it, I thought, oh, I've been wanting to show people how to do a frittata. And so I thought this would be a good choice. All right, so we're gonna see, okay, perfect. This is great. So we've got just a very tiny bit of movement in terms of unset eggs, but, and the whole thing is sliding, which means it's not sticking, which is excellent. So what I'm going to do is put my cheese on the top. I've pre-crumbled it. It's 2 tablespoons maybe. It's really, again, you don't really have to measure for this recipe. I know people get worried if I don't give them specifics. And now I'm putting it under the broiler, which I believe is on. Yes, okay. Then we have to turn it up. Turning that guy off. I'm gonna actually turn it all the way to high. I don't think that's hot enough. Okay. And then I'm gonna just set it for 2 minutes and check it. I'm just gonna move these things over here while I'm waiting. Yeah, so what's the story with the frittata? So essentially, what's the difference between there was a big debate about should Liz make a quiche, should she make a frittata? So a quiche is a custard, so that's more milk, more eggs, and it bakes together in the oven, gets very nice and set. Usually there's some cheese in there. You can make them without a crust, so a lot of people are having trouble, sourcing flour right now. You absolutely can do a quiche. You just grease the pie pan really well. But that'll bake for about 60 minutes, 50 to 60 minutes. I made one on Easter Sunday, which was super yummy. And but so this is just a kind of in between. So doing an omelet, which is completely done on the stove and is flipped over. Scrambled eggs, you're pushing them around. So again, these are just different combinations of eggs and milk. You can see I just did a little splash of milk in there just to help it kind of bind together and add some fluffiness to it. And then you can add, so what's great about a frittata is you can, if you just have a little bit of leftover cooked vegetable, any of those things could go in your frittata. So for example, I have roasted cauliflower, roasted Brussels sprouts in the fridge. I might have some, what else do we have in there, microwave boy? That's actually all we have. Like if you have mushrooms, obviously kale, any kind of greens that can be sauteed down. Red pepper would be good in a frittata. So, and especially if you just have, or even if you have leftover takeout. So if you just have not even a full serving of Thai food or Mexican food or Indian food, that can be the bottom of the saute. Then you pour the eggs over, do the frittata. It's really delicious, and it just extends that food. Okay, gonna do this because now it's been hot. All right, let's take a look and see where we're at here. Okay, this is set. I don't know if you can see that the almost all the cheese is melted. The edge is brown, and you have to be careful if you do this, but I'm just looking to see. All I want is to make sure my eggs are set. They don't have to be overly cooked. And then I'm just gonna do it this way so you can see how pretty it is when it comes out. There we go. Beautiful. So you can see that was very fast. And that's what I love about this kind of cooking, is it's really fast. And so then to serve, so I'll just cut this in half. And this is what Microwave Boy and I are gonna have for our breakfast today, because we're shooting this a little bit earlier than normal. But I'm just gonna take a quick taste. So you can see the kale. You can see the sweet potato. You can maybe see the steam coming off of it. A little bit of cheese, egginess. It's a little bit puffy, definitely nice and browned. It's cooked all the way through. This is what we want. Really nice combination of flavors. So thank you, Amy. Thank you, Vegetarian Times. Thank you, Liz, for inspiring me. And I hope this gives you confidence to see whether you have the equipment to do it, and then and to try your first frittata. So enjoy. It's great. It's a great way to use up a little bit of leftovers too. So especially takeout makes it just really fantastic. So anyway, we'll see you guys again soon. Thank you for watching. If you're following me on YouTube, please like me on Facebook, Stephanie Weaver MPH. I'm S Weaver MPH on all other social media platforms. And there's an entire series of these quarantine kitchen videos where I talk about shopping, prepping vegetables, all kinds of simple basic meals like this. So please check them out and share them if you found this useful. Thanks. Have a great day. Stay well. Bye.